This morning I'm honored to introduce our speaker, Mr. Mickey Daniel. Mickey works to bring new jobs and investments through his work as a community and economic development manager for the region. Through leadership development, strategic planning, and job creation strategy, Mickey supports growth and success in each of the communities in his region. His support extends to prospective new businesses to the area and to existing companies who are ready to expand. Mr. Daniel joined Georgia Power in 2011, having served as a science teacher in Houston and Bibb counties, where he taught AP Physics and served as co-director of the West Side High School Engineering Magnet Program. He has served in several capacities, including most recently as Education Manager in Education and Workforce Development with the Learning Power Program. He also has held roles as the Education Team Lead and Energy Efficiency Education Coordinator in the Central Region. Mickey is a graduate of Georgia College, where he received a bachelor's and master's of science degrees in education. In the energy industry, he has earned certifications as Certified Energy Manager and Residential Energy Auditor for the Association of Energy Engineers. He's a native of Lawrence County. Mickey currently lives in Lizella with his wife, Celisa, and their sons, Eli, and Evan. In the community, he serves on the Bibb Public Schools East Splost Oversight Committee as a board member of Georgia Youth Science Technology Centers Incorporated, and regularly volunteers as a youth sports coach. So help me welcome Mr. Mickey Daniel.
Good morning. First of all, thank you, Heath. Heath didn't even know he was bringing me home to speak. And so he said, "You're from Lawrence County?" But yes, I am. I grew up, actually I was born in this hospital 47 years ago. But it's great to be home. And so when he first called me, he said, "Mickey, I want us to talk about workforce." And Heath and I had the pleasure of working with the College Career Academy about last year, about this time, trying to give direction to the College Career Academy. And he said, "Man, we've got to have that conversation." I had a conversation with Miss Marsha Dixon, I want to say Christian almost, and about workforce, because as you know, when y'all were at the chamber deal and at the state board meeting, there's some concerns about workforce. And so a lot of times we don't want to address those, but today I'm going to be like the old coach, or as I like to tell people, I'm an old football coach. So in football coaches, we have to learn two things. You have to challenge your kids. And so you can challenge them all day long on the football field, but you got to love them up after practice. And a lot of you, so I want you to think of that teacher or that coach. It could be Mr. Farr for some of you, but that teacher or that coach that pushed you harder to succeed than anybody else. And you knew that they would never let up on you. But then think of it, if you had a question or a problem, you could always go to them. That person who pops in your mind is one of the best leaders you've probably ever had. And so today, I'm here to support Lawrence County in my role. But today I'm going to bring a little challenge to you. But it's nothing that's personal. I'm family, I'm home. I look around the room and see lots of friends. When we bring challenge to a lot of people, I tell people it's like talking to your best friend. Lance is sitting there. I said, "Lance, would you like me to tell you that you got broccoli in your teeth, or let you walk around all day with it?" True friends will tell you got broccoli in your teeth, and hopefully you'll realize that you got a few issues to work on. So today I'm going to bring that. So let me pull this up right quick. So my role at Georgia Power, and Larry already told you all of it. So my role is to bring, good, I can't stand behind the podium. My role is to help communities develop leadership. Lawrence County, you guys have already got a great leadership team. Lance, Brian, the commission, the mayor, development authority, you guys are working together. You went through some hard times. You realize that leadership is the key to any community's economic development. Without leadership, and you think, well, we've always had leadership, but it's leadership that works together with one voice. And you have that. A lot of communities in our state does not have that, and they don't work well together. So part of my role is to challenge them to figure out what good leadership looks like. And a lot of times I say, go look at Dublin Lawrence. Next is the help strategy. You guys have a strategy. You're moving forward on a great strategy, how we bring jobs back to Lawrence County after we were, and I say we because it's family, after we lost a ton of jobs. And I don't have to bring those back up. You know what those are. But those are the things that I do, is I help communities figure out that strategy. Next, we provide services, engineering, media related, other types of services we provide to our development authorities, to our communities, to help them with that strategy of moving forward and seeing that vision. Finally, we help at market projects come in. We help vet. Right now, we don't have a chair of it, or director at the Development Authority. We're gonna get one soon, right, Guy? I'm waiting. But we help them market those parcels or those sites and those buildings to put them out in the public so we can all share in the rewards of bringing new jobs and capital investment to Orange County. The key to capital investment, people say, well, why do we want to do economic development? And I was talking to Trey earlier, one of the reasons you do economic development is real simple. If you've not looked at your county digest, which most people never look at a digest, it's almost perfectly balanced between residential and commercial and industrial taxes. And that's a good thing, because you don't rely on your residential taxpayers too heavily to support your schools and your services. You can be a bedroom community you want to be all day, just realize that if that's the case, your residential taxpayers are going to pay those taxes. So you've done a great job, and you've got a balanced digest, and you have one of the lowest millage rates still in the state. So moving forward, how are we doing as a state? And I know probably you can't see these numbers back here, but last year as a state, we saw about 28,000 new jobs in the state. That was roughly 360 projects statewide, but I want you to look right here in the middle. You'll see that most of the job growth came from existing industry expansions. That is a great thing, because here's the deal. With existing industry, you've already got infrastructure in place. You don't have to spend dollars, tax dollars or otherwise, to support new industry. So anytime you got a business like Erdrich or anybody else who's looking to grow, you do everything you can to support them grow. And a lot of times it's workforce, and that's what we're hearing now, is we need more workforce to grow. But as a state, like I said, 28,000 new jobs, $7.3 billion in capital investment. That is huge for a state. Everybody was worried about bringing Amazon to the state, $10 billion in capital investment. Well, we did that last year almost. It was actually not quite 10. But we're seeing those same numbers, and the state's continuing to grow.
First Lawrence Bank invites you to experience banking at its best. Whether you have personal or business needs, we're a full-service bank big enough to handle all of your banking needs and small enough to provide you with that personal touch you've grown to expect from a community bank like First Lawrence Bank. Looking forward to your future. That's First Lawrence Bank in Dublin and Dexter. Member FDIC.
Come to Roach Farm and Garden and take home something beautiful. Our Gardens by the River has an excellent selection of statuaries, bird baths, fountains, and a wide variety of flowers, fruit trees, and shrubs. Or come inside and take a look at our decorative accents. Our friendly staff will help you find just what you need for your next outdoor project. And we carry those unique items that are hard to find. Come visit us today. Roach Farm and Garden, Dublin.
Roach Farm and Garden, growing traditions.
So why are we successful in the state? Three main reasons. Over the last 10 years, site selectors, who are the consultants who help businesses locate, have said the same consistent three things. Accessibility. We have a great interstate system. We have great roads in the state. And I know T-Splosh is not a popular subject by a lot of people, but our infrastructure in our state is one of the main reasons we continue to grow and prosper. And that's not a plug. That's just the truth. Labor costs. We still in the Southeast have typically lower labor costs than anywhere else in the country. But then finally, availability of skilled labor. We have always had skilled workforce who could help these companies expand and locate, and that's what's driven the success in the Southeast and primarily in Georgia. If you didn't know it, Georgia is the number one state, or has been the number one state to do business for the last 6 years, and that's because your legislator, your governor, and everybody else has been very favorable for business. And people say, well, why are we giving these incentives? Why are we doing these things? It's because we're bringing better paying jobs to our citizens in the state. And so we improve the quality of life. And that's why Georgia Power is actually involved in economic development. As the state improves, our revenues improve because we sell electricity. And so we want to see the state continue to thrive and grow. We've been doing it since 1927. We opened our first economic development office in New York City. We wanted to bring those manufacturing jobs to the Southeast for cheap electricity, and we're still doing it today. So, who knows the 3 L's? There's my real estate guys in the back. What's the 3 L's of real estate? Louder. Right. Well, today in economic development, guess what the 3 L's are? Labor, labor, and labor. You know, and why? We're going to look at why. But what are the biggest threats? A friend of mine in the business said this 20 years ago. He said the biggest threat to economic survival, and he's at a state in the Southeast, the biggest threat to our survival or economic survival is the lack of a skilled workforce. This is not a new issue. It's something we've been seeing for the past 20 years. So, but why are we seeing these big challenges? I know there's a lot of words up there. We're going to focus on the top 4 mainly. But realistically, for the first time since 2000, we have seen an inversion in a graph where unemployment now is lower than the demand for jobs or jobs posted. So in the past, you always had jobs here, more jobs to fill than you had people. And so that's what we're seeing, more jobs to fill than we have people. And people and companies are going to automation. People think, well, they're going to automation to lose, we're cutting workforce, they're trying to save money. That's not the case. The case is we can't find enough qualified workforce, so the companies are having to go to automation. Look at your labor force for the last, go look at your labor force. In the United States, we have 162 million people in the labor force. That number has grown every year except for about 2 in the past 60 years. Jobs are not going away. Companies are having a hard time finding skilled labor. One of the bigger things, we're having a skill gap between the middle and the upper skills. We got people that can do the skilled labor. You go out to FlexSteel, you got people out there that are working those jobs, they're doing that, but what we're seeing in the nation is there's a gap between the people who can move from a middle skill to an upper skill. We've got to skill up our workforce. Next, you have the transition from low to middle wage jobs. It's not happening. People are getting an introductory level jobs and they're not being skilled up. They can't take on that next job. There's a problem in getting those employees into those jobs. And you go, well, why does that affect me in Lawrence County? Well, let me promise you this, not only from a tax business, but if jobs leave to the population of Lawrence County, it leaves. How many houses do you sell when people start leaving? Not as many. How many hamburgers do we sell? How many air conditioners repair? And so as jobs leave, communities will shrink. Since the 1950s, rural Georgia has seen a shrinkage. If you want to go look at a report that will open your eyes, go look at the Georgia Chamber of Commerce and website and look up just rural prosperity. It will open your eyes to what we're seeing across the state. But I'm not trying to preach doom and gloom. What I'm trying to tell you is we've got big challenges, and it all goes back to our labor force. So I'm going to ask you guys right now, how well do you know your labor force in Lawrence County? Most of you say, I've probably never considered it. Exactly. So I'm going to bring you a little challenge. We need to think about it. Where are we getting our workforce from? Well, I'm glad you asked. Can you believe that we have 9,000 people that live and work in Lawrence County, but we have 7,000, almost 8,000 people that drive into Lawrence County and work every day? 17,000 total jobs in Lawrence County, almost 8,000 of them come out of county. But the statistic that was so shocking to me, and this shows you where they come from, you know, Johnson County has a good bit, Houston, Dodge, Bibb, Truitland. All those counties bring people in to work. You are a regional society. Those communities depend on you, you depend on those communities. You work together. But the one that shocked me was, and it's the same slide, the commute shed. How many people in Lawrence County who leave every day to take jobs somewhere else? And that's over 9,000 people. But that wasn't the shocking thing. The shocking thing is where they're going. Fulton County is number 3. 830 people a day leave to go to Fulton County. Wait, it gets better. DeKalb, Gwinnett. I was shocked when I looked at that. And they're not leaving for minimum wage jobs, I can promise you that. So what I'm telling you is you have skilled workforce who's leaving every day to go work somewhere outside of your state. So part of knowing your labor force and filling jobs is who's leaving. And I do have the statistics. Guy, I'll share them with you next time we have an authority meeting. But we looked at the type of industries they're leaving for, and it was astonishing. You've got skilled workforce who are leaving. The question we've got to ask in Lawrence County is, why are they leaving to drive in that mess every day when we have jobs that could be filled here? So we got to do some digging and figure out what's going on. But I want to bring a little bit deeper challenge, and it comes back to the school systems, right? I'm wearing, if you didn't notice, I got a blue and a green and a white and a gold tie on. That didn't happen by chance, I promise. But I grew up in this community, and so I told Heath, I said, I can bring a little challenge because I'm part of this community. Guys, we have got to get consolidated, and I'm not saying consolidate the school system. We have got to unify when it comes to educating our students in this county. How many of you are from Dublin? Raise your hand. How many from Lawrence County? Raise your hand. Wait a minute, every hand should have come up when I said Lawrence County. And that's the point I was trying to make. Everybody's from Lawrence County. That's right. Exactly. But here's the good news. Let's talk about it. 65% of your graduating students, Dublin, Lawrence school system, both of them, go into higher ed. 12%, we don't know where they go. We can't track. Could be military, could be out of state, whatever. And what we find out, 20% go straight into the workforce without any skill sets. That's a pretty large number. I did some digging, looked around. It's not out of the norm. Some people say, well, maybe Lawrence County's higher, Dublin's lower. It's not the case. Actually, Dublin's higher than Lawrence, people going on to higher ed. But what shocked me was at the 6-year cohort, and this comes from the Governor's Office of Student Achievement. If you look at us, 68% of our students go into secondary. Each year, that number shrinks. Obviously, because we hope some people are getting credentials and entering the workforce, 1%, 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%. It's growing. We are having students graduate. But what gets me is when you look at this last number, the number of students who have no credentials after 6 years is 33%. That's 160 students who are, after 6 years beyond graduation, have no skills. I know, and we look around and go, wow, we're losing the labor force, we don't have enough people. No, we have people, we're not educating them. We are not reaching a populace that needs to be reached. Now, don't feel bad. I looked at your neighboring communities. Houston's at 28%, Bibbs at 41%, Dodge is at 38%, Troutland's at 29%. Let's see, who else? But you can see that they're all around the 30% to 40% mark. So let's do something. Had a good friend of mine as a pastor. He always likes presuppositions. So I said, would you all agree that a skilled workforce and a talented workforce is a critical component in attracting, growing, and retaining businesses to your region? I'm not talking industry. Some of you are small businesses. All of your businesses will grow when we have talent or a pipeline. Okay. Next, when individuals and groups thrive, communities and society thrives. Would you agree with that? All right, if that's the case, then we know from that previous slide that we've got problems developing workforce in Lawrence County. And it is not just Lawrence County. That's what I'm trying to get. It is a state, it is a region, it is a country. Fair enough? So you got only two choices. You can innovate, you can keep doing the same thing and try to change it a little bit and hope things will get better. Or we can disrupt the whole system, start doing things anew, and let's move forward to change things. Now we can say, well, we've been doing okay in Lawrence County. If I hadn't shown you the slides earlier, you probably said, we've been doing pretty good. Wouldn't we? But when you see the numbers, you go, wow, we're not doing so hot.
Tax season is here, and Jackson's Income Tax Service is open and ready to serve you. We've started processing tax returns now, so don't delay. Come in today and get your taxes done and out of the way. Yes, you can come in with your last check stub for an estimate or get your return completely processed with your year-end W-2s and other tax documents. The season is here, and we look forward to doing business with you. We can be reached year-round at 610 North Church Street, right here in downtown Dublin. Open from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. Call us at 272-8681. Jackson's Income Tax Service, established in 1987, providing quality customer service and maintaining an ethical and professional tax practice.
Come to Jackson's Income Tax Service, where experience makes the difference.
Oh, hey, you got one of those insurance apps too? You know how this thing works?
No, sorry. Not an app, it's my agent.
In this moment,
No, I'm fine, thanks.
it's good to know you have a trusted, independent auto owner's insurance agent who's there when you need them.
Great.
Man, I gotta get one of those.
Orr Insurance in Dublin is your local independent auto owners insurance agency.
Remember I I told you I was gonna bring a little challenge? Guys, we have a huge part of our population who are not contributing. And if they're not contributing, statistics show that they end up in jail with a record, and then what happens? Do we hire them then? So the only way you can add to your workforce sometimes is to go re-examine your policies and expand the workforce. Who do we need to bring back into the workforce? That's a whole different conversation we can have for another day. But disruption, what are some communities? Some communities are doing this. I'm about to leave here and I'm going to Macon Bibb, and there's going to be supposedly a huge announcement with the governor today. And there's a huge innovation about to take place, and there's some DOD contractor that's about to partner with a technical school off the base to train employees and former military to go to work. Now, y'all put 2 and 2 together and hopefully get 4. But that has never happened in our country, where a Department of Defense and a technical school have gone off-site and partnered. That's disruption. And that's part of the administration's vision from the base. They needed 1,200 additional workers. They wouldn't get them fast enough. They said, we can't keep relying on what we're doing. We've got to change things. Douglas County, Douglasville, Georgia, Six Flags, let's put it that way. They are working to address, we have Move On When Ready. Students do joint enrollment, get skills, right? But there's a huge population of our kids that don't qualify for Move On When Ready because they can't pass the test. And that's a large portion of your students. How do you get them the skills? How do you get them the soft skills and the hard skills they need to get those introductory level jobs? Because that's the population we're missing. And we're not getting them those skills. But Douglas County, Mandy Johnson, who is the CTA director, and a friend of mine, Breezy, who is in their development authority, they said, you know what, we've got to change things. And they've done it. We're starting to see it. Kubota, you go up to Hall County, Jefferson, Georgia, Gainesville, Georgia, one of the largest manufacturers in the state. They are using their college career academy to the extreme to train students. Guys, you have an asset in your college career academy. Jay's not here, stood still. Kudos to Jay for continuing to work hard on that. You have an asset. The reason it's an asset is because you can quickly change the instruction that's needed there, whereas in your public schools, they're bound by state guidelines. The College Career Academy has a greater flexibility to meet those needs. I'm going to challenge you. You need to find out what they're doing. You need to get on board to support it, and there has been some support. You heard the grant monies that were released to help with the welding program, and I'm glad that I was able to do that as well from my side of my business. But guys, we have got to do a better job of reaching a certain segment of the population. And I'm not talking about majority. I'm talking about kids who just don't qualify. They may become pregnant, have a child, they may have an IEP, if you don't know what that is. That's kids with special needs in school. They're not truly special, but they may have trouble learning with a learning disability. These are the kids that we're losing and that end up not in the productive workforce. Fair enough? So, key takeaways. I'm going to wrap up Heath like that. As we continue to see growth, it's happening in expansions. But here's what we've seen as a state. Expansions have become competitive. Businesses now are looking at other communities and other states because of workforce. Don't take for granted that you got Flexsteel here, Erdrich Hill, Vermeer here. I could go down the list. They're going to stay. We are seeing that if they need to expand, they're looking for communities that have workforce. If you don't have workforce, Dublin, Lawrence, you're losing a competitive advantage. You got to address the pipeline supply. It's the threat. Communities must examine the workforce. You got to create that competitive advantage. Competitive advantage in business is what makes your business special, what makes your community special. Don't tell me it's your quality of life. Don't tell me it's your access to interstates. Don't tell me I can reach 80% of the United States in 2 days. Well, guess what? 80% of the United States can reach 80% of the United States in 2 days. The Eastern Seaboard. That's not a competitive advantage. While I will love quality of life in Lawrence County, what sets you apart? What makes you different? What brought your businesses here? And what are you going to do to make sure they stay and they expand, and that the next one comes along when Lawrence County grows, we're able to attract them. Finally, All stakeholders need to be at the table. I love the fact that I get to speak to the Rotary. What's your motto? That wasn't a rhetorical question, we're not in church. What's your motto? I know it, so I'm asking y'all, service above. Well, if you believe that, roll up your sleeves and figure out what's part of the problem here in Lawrence County, where we need to get a better workforce. So business leaders, that's why I just did that. Industry, you gotta have your industry partners. They're the ones who are gonna tell you what skills they need. They have got to come to the table. After I leave the governor's announcement, I'm going to Bibb County Schools, and we're meeting with their top 6 industries to identify what those skill sets are, because they realize they're not getting workforce. We're doing it because you got to roll up your sleeves and get there together. And don't forget your education partners. I hate Dan and Fred are not here, but they are doing a good job of working together. But guess what, Lawrence County? We can do a lot better. Finally, I'm going to leave you with this thought. One of my favorite quotes on leadership, and it comes from Rosalind Carter. It said, a leader takes people where they want to go, but a great leader takes people not necessarily where they want to go, but where they ought to be. There's a lot of great leaders in this room. You need to take Lawrence County where it ought to be. Agreed?